Well, welcome race fans, and we've got together with Rick Staley again up here at the Napa Auto Parts of St. Joe. And I'm Mike Kraft, and we thought what we might do today is kind of review the season coming up for, I think we've got almost 8 tracks we're covering here, Rick.
Big, exciting year for a lot of tracks and everything. One we're really going to talk about today because we got the old mad scientist in the house waiting in the wings over here, Phil Birkinshaw. We're going to talk a little about Atchison today too, because going to IMCA this year and working with some other tracks is going to be a fun year out there. So we're going to bring him in a little bit later to the show also.
Like I say, it looks to be a very exciting season. I went over some of the stuff Lakeside's going to do, and I thought we might just start with Lakeside since it's on the front page.
We'll do her, yeah. We'll do her.
Okay. Sounds like they're going to start off April 3rd is going to be their test and tune, and then the first race of the season is going to be on the 8th of April. And the classes that they're going to be racing this year, Rick, it sounds like it's going to be a lot different for Lakeside.
Quite a bit.
That, they went from 3 classes to 4, I think it was 2 years ago. And boy, this year they're going to be stepping up to 4, maybe 5 most nights.
Yeah, bringing back to factory stocks this year, which is something kind of close to like Darren Christie, the race director's heart. He run the factory stock for years, but bringing the factory stocks back to Lakeside, so on the big half mile.
I'm kind of curious to see just how stock those cars are going to be, because the factory stocks, of course, eventually evolved into the stock cars, which USRA. But the 4 classes that they're going to be pretty much their major classes for the year are going to be the USRA A mods, B mods, stock cars, and then factory stocks, and then Grand Nationals also. Almost forgot about them. But that, like I say, they're going to be kicking off the season on April 8th. Which is not too far. That's what, about a month away from right now?
Not very far off at all, and they're looking for big things again at Lakeside. Made some track improvements, I understand. Started out a little rocky with the track situation last year. Got it figured out toward the middle, end of the year, and hoping to start out the track year strong with the track good this year.
Well, there was a lot of tracks that were figured out last year.
With the weather
it seemed like I-35 was one of the few tracks that I got to go to where even that early in the spring, it seems like you guys didn't quite get as much rain as possibly some of the others.
And they got one of the masters up there, Mike Knight, working with Mike Johnson. Track really good most of the year. A few times had a little rough spots due to weather, but all in all, pretty good track at 35 this year.
But I was up there at least, it seems like 3 or 4 times in the early spring. You guys were the only ones that were running huge car counts. We'll talk about I-35.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, let's get back here. On the 18th, rather, they adding the Show Me Vintage Racer series coming in. There's 2 groups of them, and a lot of times they will race together. These are the Show Me Vintage cars coming in. A little bit different, not quite as modified as the Outlaw Vintage, but they always put on a good show.
Yeah. Then the 29th is going to be the ULMA late models. Now, they had the opportunity to run once, I believe it was, at Lakeside last year toward the end of the season. They extended them a special invitation to come out there, and they put on a pretty good show.
Aaron Morant picking up the win.
Aaron Morant. And I don't want to throw any knocks on ULMA late models, but, and I always hate to use that word, but it's not going to be the real high-powered. What would be a good way to describe it?
I call it economic late models.
Yes, right.
Would be the best way to say it. Maybe not the high-dollar engines you see in some of the others, or maybe not all the bells and whistles you'll see in some of the late models, but still good, exciting racing.
They put on a good show at Lakeside. In fact, I think I remember after the feature, I told Don Mars, I said, Don, I think this is a group you ought to have back at least once a month if you can, to try and get them in here, because it gives the fans just another class that they can watch that's different from what you already have.
Right.
So, and I think I've got a piece on that here in a little bit, but I think ULMA is going to be at Lakeside 5 times this summer.
I think 5, yeah. I think that's what it is.
So I'm looking forward to that. Almost kind of getting me back to the old days at the old Lakeside with the late model stock cars, actually, and the sprints. So we'll see how that goes.
Yep. And then coming in on May the 5th, you got the ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. Takes to the big half mile, and of course the person to watch there always Jonathan Cornell is one to watch down there at Lakeside. Anytime he's in a sprint car, he's the one to watch.
This is going to be the national tour, so he's going to have his hands full.
Hey, say the big boys will come rolling in that night.
The big guys will be rolling in there. Of course, this will be the same weekend as the Speedway. So, it'd probably be a good crowd. They've tried to put this show on 2 years in a row, and I believe canceled it both times for rain or possibility of rain.
Yeah, and Casey Kane, he always brings a sprint car, has it ready just in case. You have a lot of the big NASCAR guys that do have sprint car teams that probably will be in attendance for this big race.
I'm going to flip over a page here, Rick, if you want to go with me. But this just kind of summarizes. I thought we might, before we get into drivers that we might mention to watch, we would talk a little bit about special events at Lakeside this year. And all I can say is, man, what a lineup. April 1st is going to be the USMTSA mods. So that's always a good one. They put on a good show.
USMTS, Todd Staley and crew put on a good show. They really do always.
It'll be a terrific race that, I'm sure they'll have a big crowd for that. And then April 29th is the first, which we mentioned already, is the first of 5 appearances of the ULMA late models. And looking forward to that all summer. That's going to be fun. We talked about the ASCS National Tour. June the 4th is going to be the flat track motorcycles.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the bikes run out there?
Yes, I have. Saw the flat tracks go around there, and we had them practicing at another track, and they come flying around there, and just as it's taking the checker, one of them just flops out on the front straightaway, and I couldn't help myself. I said, "This will sell tickets," But he was okay. Everybody was okay. So that was the main thing. But flat track motorcycles, always exciting, always fun to watch. So.
It's been a while since I've seen them, but the last time I saw the bikes out at Lakeside, it was a fun race to watch. Had a good time, and of course, there again, that's a total different crowd that you get on a night like that, because it seems like everybody that owns a hog or any type of street bike is going to be there for the flat track motorcycles, because that's their deal.
And last year, wasn't it Harley Davidson gave away a motorcycle during the flat track races, or year before last, I think. Year before last. So will they step up and do that again this year? Pretty exciting stuff.
It will be. But like I say, different crowd for that, and fun time for those folks that like to come out and do that. I don't know if you'll see that many circle track big car racers fans be there, but it'll be big for the bike fans. Then June 26th or 25th and 26th, 2 nights this year for the USAC sprint cars. And boy, I guess I'm a sprint car guy at heart, but to me, that's one of the most exciting shows you can see at almost any track is the wingless.
Well, one of my sayings, and I'm not meaning to offend anybody that races wing sprint cars, but how do you say it? They made perfect sprint cars, then they put wings on the rest of it. USAC always wheel-to-wheel exciting racing. I mean, not knocking anybody, but I'm like you. I'm a big fan of USAC. I think they put on a great show.
They do, and of course that's the best open-wheel wingless drivers you can find with that USAC bunch. I went back for Speed Week one year in Indiana for the USAC deal, and man, that's a fantastic show. 5 different tracks in one night. And we're going to get to have them 2 nights here at Lakeside.
And we do have a lot of local drivers that just take the wing off and they do race USAC. You got Cody and Casey Baker. You see them at most USAC races, and very competitive. Those 2 are very competitive drivers. So.
Be a fun night. And then again on August the 19th, the USMTSA mods are going to be back at Lakeside again. And then on September 2nd, which will be a really good show all too for even getting to watch the ULMA all of summer. Then the MLRA will be coming in for the Clyde Ellis Memorial, and that's a tremendous show too. Yeah,
and we do want to remind everybody that when we say USMTSA mods, the Ironman B mods and stock cars will also be in action those nights also.
Probably so. And I've got October, I've got the USRA Nationals with a question mark. They didn't have anything on the schedule.
No, it's actually will be at Mississippi Valley Speedway in Minnesota, believe it or not.
So they have moved.
Oh, I'm not sure of the state, but I know it's Mississippi Speedway will be where the national event's held this year.
Okay. And that brings us up to drivers to watch for this year at Lakeside.
Yep.
You want to talk about the
it seems like
A-Mod guys?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of names always come to the top. How can you ever forget Kerry Davis? You know, the long-haired bandit. You can't forget him. Hair's getting a little thinner, so he's more aerodynamic now, so he's getting faster and faster. But Kerry Davis,
air travels through his helmet better.
It does. And you know, you got Tim Carrick. You can't never count him out. That car, number one, coming from a great racing family. Tim Carrick, always a car to watch.
Yeah.
And Nick Benniger, brand new car this year. The number 3 is a little different look for him. But I was talking to Grandpa Verlin Green on the phone the other day. We're both rednecks and have beagles and chase rabbits. You know? But I was talking to him. And he said, "Look out, son. He's fast."
Yeah.
So we're good to go with Nick Benniger.
I was going to say, I think Nick kind of had an off year last year.
Sold his car toward the end of the year.
Yes.
They priced the car, and unexpectedly somebody bought it before they were actually ready. But he has another car and ready to go this year. Matter of fact, he will be at Humboldt this
Do
weekend.
you know what the chassis is that they went with?
Not sure. He's always been a side biter man, but
Yeah.
I would hate to venture out and say that's what he has.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
There-
And I asked Verlin, he said, "I don't know." and then Darren Fuquay, you can't say enough about him. Anywhere he goes, competitive driver.
Yeah, there again, you don't ever know who's going to step up in that deal either. I mean, somebody comes up with a new chassis, just a new look, a new chassis guy, whatever.
Hit that sweet combination, and they're the
exactly.
man to beat.
Exactly.
I mean, they are. Because Justin Johnson always a threat. You know, he's around, and you can sit here and name drivers all day that visit Lakeside that could be a winner on that track.
Exactly. Like you just never know who's going to pop in there either, and whether they'll stay with it and run the whole season. But that kind of gets us to the B mods, and of course Ed Knoll was the B mod champion there last year, and you have to look to Ed to probably come back this year again. And saw him out at the Mavericks car show, and he was telling me that they're going with the old chassis. So I think that might give him a little advantage early in the year.
No learning curve.
No learning curve, exactly. And so that might help him out. Luke Neiman finished second in the points. I'm sure Luke will be back with a vengeance too.
Yes.
Really looking to kind of take that deal over. Luke made some great strides in the last couple of years, and becoming more consistent all the time. And then the old veteran Gene Claxton, I mean, what can you say? He probably got more knowledge in that little finger than a lot of guys do.
He has more point championships than most drivers will ever have wins.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, at one time he told me over 399 wins to his credit.
Oh my gosh, wow.
I mean, that's success if you've ever heard it. Of course, Wilma is one of the scorers there. Not a nicer family to be around.
Exactly. One of the guys that I threw in there that had some really good runs at Lakeside last year that I think there again can develop that consistency is going to be Shadron Turner. I think he'd be one of the guys to watch out for.
Yeah, that's Shadron Turner, that 17T car. How do you say it? He is really one of the cleanest drivers you ever see. Takes care of the car. Picked up a little aggression last year and went to the front, picking up future wins last year. So I agree. I think he's one to watch.
He'll be right in there. We get down to the stock cars, and I might just mention Brett Heater first. I talked to Brett toward the end of last season. Actually, it was Bobby, his dad, and Bobby was telling me that they were thinking they might travel a little bit this year and maybe do the Ironman series.
Yeah, he was on Facebook here. I don't know, about a month ago. He was talking about that. How do you say it? He's never met a racetrack he didn't like.
Yeah,
you know,
I
so
believe
he said
that.
He really looking into the Ironman situation running this, and he will be competitive anywhere he goes.
Exactly. Kevin Anderson. When we talked about the Driver of the Year award, we mentioned Kevin and how he had won, I think, 8 features at Lakeside. And if he hadn't had that bad wreck and just almost had to start over from scratch, who knows? And if Kevin is able to run the whole season this year, I think he's got a shot.
Yeah, I do too. Anytime Kevin hits the track, he's got a shot.
He's got a shot.
Yeah.
And the third guy that I threw in there for this deal to watch was Marshall Jewett, because Marshall, again, I think had a little down year last year. But I'm sure him and his car builder, they're going to come back with some stuff that's going to be really strong. So.
Always sniffing around the front. That's Marshall Jewett.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Grand Nationals is the only other one we have to cover. And I know Don Mars is going to be running in there. And Donnie Brown, at the end of last season, he was kind of here and there, hadn't decided for sure what he was going to do, if he was going to go Grand National or B-Mod. Have you talked to Donnie or heard anything?
Donnie Brown will be running the Grand National this year. Also, his brother, John Brown, the Hammer, will be in a Grand National also
really?
this year.
The B-Mod driver? I'll be done.
E-Mod driver.
Or E-Mod, that's right.
Won the E-Mod championship last year at the I-35, but he is moving up to the Grand National ranks.
Right. And, of course, Tim Shields, unless he hops up to B-Mods, but I look for Tim to come back.
Yeah, Tim, pretty much a mainstay in the Grand National
Yeah.
class, so I look for him to be one to beat.
Okay, all right, that kind of covers Lakeside. We're going to move on to Central Missouri Speedway. And once again, they're going to kick off their season April 9th. And they're having a car show there in Warrensburg at the Hawthorne Plaza. And then everybody's going to move out to the track that night for a test and tune. That's April 9th, and the season kicks off April 16th. And the classes that they're going to be running for all summer will be the USRA A mods, B mods, and then they run, it's not associated with USRA, but street stocks, pure stocks.
Yeah.
That, like I say again, that's April 16th. April 26th, the Midwest Mod Lights will join in, and they'll be joining the regular show. And then the 7th, the ULMA late models will be added to the regular Saturday night racing at Lakeside as a visiting class, and they do that, I think,
CMS.
or what did I
Yeah.
say?
You said Lakeside.
Okay.
CMS. We changed tracks.
No, yeah, right, okay.
You know, you get that certain age. Like,
No
you know,
kidding.
But you'll be all right.
I'm trying to read in between the lines, I guess, but what goes in here is not coming out here. But anyway, the ULMA, now they're going to be making 7 appearances at CMS, which they've kind of been, a steady deal down there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that.
Yeah. And
But-
holiday specials at CMS this year be like May the 28th, A mods, street stocks, B mods. $500 to win Pure Stock show. That's a lot of money for the Pure Stock
Yes, it
class.
is.
And they also will have the Outlaw mini mods.
Now, I had an opportunity to talk to Alan, I knew I was going to forget his last name, Miller, who is one of the track announcers down
Right.
there, and I was asking him about this Outlaw mini mods because I saw some of those up at the trade show that they had in Wichita that I went to. And what he's telling me is they mostly run up in the Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa area, and that the guy that runs that series, wish I had the name again, didn't, wanted to kind of spread out and move a little further south because I guess they've been venturing into Iowa and they want to get down here. And
I have a question. Are they the same as the Batwing Outlaw mods, mini mods? Is that the same thing?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Phil
Because
says
I
yes.
am familiar with those. They
Yeah.
are, Phil? Okay,
Phil
we got
says yes.
mad scientists would know if anybody. You know.
My understanding is they're going to run on this special on the 28th at CMS, and they're going to Atchison on the 29th, Phil.
Okay.
So they'll have a 2-day weekend. They're running a third track, but I can't remember where it's at. Old timers. You go ahead with the 29th there if you'd
Okay,
like to.
29th is $3,000 to win the A-Mod show, and you know that the big guns will be there that night for the money. ULMA late models, B mods, and all-star midgets all on the 29th, May the 29th. So that's going to be a great
That's
show.
going to be a humdinger there,
Yeah.
isn't it? Going to want to make that. And I think that's a Sunday night, if I remember right.
Sunday night show.
Yeah, because Saturday is the 28th.
Mm-hmm.
But exciting series of everything kind of going on down there. So I'm
Yep.
looking forward to that. And I know be a fun time to go down there. It's almost like going to I-35 as far as I'm concerned. Good competitive 2-lane racing down there.
Yeah, good clean facility. I'll tell you what, they've done a great job opening that track back up. CMS on the move, doing good.
Coming back, I think we
Yep.
had them as second for track
Yep.
of the year, if I remember right.
Yep.
And the drivers to watch, A-Mods, who else?
Well, you got
Schultz.
Terry Schultz, second in the USRA points last year, and how do you say it, missed a few races right at the end of the season, may have stopped him from clinching it,
Yeah.
but Terry Schultz stands
Yeah.
for itself. You don't need to say a whole lot more, just outstanding driver.
I think the driver from New Mexico beat him out in the USRA Nationals. That's how he lost the points at Lakeside there at the end
Yeah,
of the
he
year.
was able to make some big races that Terry could not get to. You know, I'm sure work schedule, things
Yeah.
like that always play into it. And then how about Jim Moody? Jim Moody, always a threat to win any track he goes to also. And that's kind of his home track, is
Yeah.
CMS. So Jim Moody,
Yeah.
you got to mention his name when you mention fast race cars at CMS.
Yeah, without a doubt. Seems to me the one thing if Jim could improve on just a little bit is some consistency as far as, running. And can't say too much about Jim.
No, and then you got Tim Carrick, and we was talking about him at Lakeside. Anywhere Tim Carrick goes, put him down as a threat to win.
Yeah, without a doubt. Finished second at CMS and Lakeside.
Points,
I know
yeah.
we had him in our Driver of the Year award just on account of that,
Yeah.
because of the diversity of running of
And
both
the
tracks.
dedication it takes to do 2 tracks like that
Yeah.
in 1 week. That's a lot of hard work and a lot of
Yeah.
dedication.
There again, I talked to Alan Miller and I said, Alan, have you got a dark horse for this A-Mod deal? He said, well, he says, Brian Johnson had some really good runs down there last year. And he said, I think if I was looking for somebody that's been outside of the regular group that runs well down there, he said it'd probably be Brian. So
Yeah.
he told me, he says, Brian Johnson would be my dark horse.
Yep.
And then the B-Mods, of course, we got Jacob Ebert. He was the points champion there
Mhm. And
last
you will,
year.
you will see his name again later, as I know another track that he races. So we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later. But then you got Troy Carlisle, that big blue oval on the front. He's always a threat to win that 4 horsepower B-Mod.
Yeah. Always in the thick of it, no matter
Always.
where he's at. Alan was telling me Cody Frazon, they thought would stand a pretty good shot
Yeah.
at running with the B-Mods down
Has
there.
really developed as a driver. Yeah, really coming into his own now.
Right. And street stocks, we got Brett Wood, Troy Turley, and Clayton Campbell. I'm not really that familiar. I've seen them race, but I
Yeah.
don't know the names that well. But
All 3 of those, how do you say it? Put them in a bag, shake it up, and whichever name they
did-
like to win the title, because all 3 of them are that competitive and that good of drivers and that close.
right.
So,
Pure stock is Jeremy Wilson, Jason Conran, I guess how you pronounce that, Leroy Morrison.
yep. All these, same as the street stock. These guys are excellent drivers, all 3 of them. Expect all 3 of them to be in the thick for the point battle at CMS.
Exactly. A good bunch of drivers and cars down there. I think they primarily draw a lot of their cars and drivers from the central Missouri area, which of course has a rich racing history.
Yeah.
And some names that we probably don't know that well here in Kansas City, but still fun races, fun track. Love to go down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to talk about Heartland Park?
We can talk about Heartland Park. I've been talking to the Reed Brothers some, which is Reed Brothers Photography, and they've been talking about they're going to be running on Sunday, which is they're going to start with test and tune on April the 10th. Opening back up this year, it's a good thing to get that track going again.
Yes.
They didn't want to compete with ACR on Friday. They didn't want to compete with Mayetta on
Saturday?
night, so they decided to go to the Sunday night venue, which to me, you're going to have 3 IMCA tracks right there in a pretty centralized area. So look for good things out of Heartland Park. Their season opener will be April 24th. IMCA A-Mods, stock cars, Northern Sport mods, and hobby stocks is what they'll be running.
Yeah.
Now, as far as specials coming up, they're still in the process of putting all this together.
Right.
And as far as starting times on Sunday afternoon and all, that information, we'll just have to get to them at a later time.
Yeah, we might mention that right now. If you have any questions at all about any of the schedules or classes or anything like that, best thing to do is just go to their websites, and most generally it's whatthespeedwayis.com.
And they're going to draw cars from Thunder Hill, Salina, Hayes, maybe Nebraska. They're going to draw from Atchison, Kansas. They're going to draw a lot of race cars around. We said before, they're not going to run against the other tracks. And again, John and Junior Larry, the guys that are running the show at Heartland Park, and it's a good move on their part. I think the Sunday night will be a great venue for them, IMCA racing on Sunday night.
You know, even if you talk about Hayes, that's probably about from Topeka, I'm going to say a 3-hour drive. So that wouldn't be unacceptable to be able to do that, to pull in there, because if they have an early start time, say 6, and they're out of there by 9:30, you still be home by midnight.
Yeah. And for a racer, that's normal. Not
I was going to say
Mondays
Mondays are just for trying to wake up and go to work.
That's what they said. Money and sleep's overrated anyway. It is. But it should be a whole lot of fun up at Topeka this year. We'll just see how everything works out for them. I'm really, really glad to see that track not go in the ways of the lost race tracks. I'm glad to see it come back.
You know, I think everybody was kind of concerned there for a while because the city of Topeka had it. And I think they were afraid it might end up as apartments.
or a parking lot or something else, But really, really glad to see that track back up and running.
I am too. It's a fun track. It's a really dry, slick racetrack. I don't know that I've ever been up there that even like in the heat races, it was a dry, slick. It's just the way the Reed brothers prepare it.
And, or Lowry brothers.
No, the Reed brothers prepare the
Oh,
track.
Reed Brothers prepare the track.
Believe it or not, the photographers prepare
Donnie
the
and
track.
Ronnie?
Yes.
That's scary. Now I'm getting nervous. No, just kidding. Those are good guys.
But I've seen dust in the heat races, so that has to tell you something.
Yeah.
But anyway, the racers have adapted to it really well. So, you can't say too much about it. The only other thing I can say about Heartland Park is this Sunday night racing. I'm really glad to see them do that because it's not going to take anything away from Thunder Hill.
No.
The deal that was going on there before was,
Right.
I don't want to call it a nightmare, but it was kind of tricky to try and
Yeah.
run two tracks against each other in such a small town like that.
And I'll go ahead and throw a couple of names out there. You're going to have Tom Charles making the pull up there, and Austin Charles, his grandson,
I bet so.
which has developed into a great young
Yeah.
driver. He will be running Northern Sport Mod. So it ought to be, right there, you've got two great names. One
Yeah.
Hall of Famer and his grandson
Right.
going to be there. Y'all already setting the table for great racing action.
Yeah, no, I think they'll draw in some really good cars and drivers because one of the things that's going to play into their favor is what happens if Thunder Hill rains out on Saturday. Those guys that race there, they're going to want to get their points for that week, or Beatrice, or Salina, or Hayes. They're going to be coming up to Heartland Park to race up
Or
there
ACR.
to get their points.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think that's going to play into their favor, and that's going to happen quite a bit during the summer,
Yeah.
the way the weather is around
Yeah,
here.
Mother Nature can do that to you.
Yeah.
She can, yeah.
Let's just say we wish John and Junior the best of luck up there and hope things go good for them.
Definitely. Yeah.
And of course, kind of getting off of our deal, but NHRA is coming back up there again this year.
Yep.
Heartland Park was off the schedule, what I understand. But
Yeah, and it's making a big comeback in a big way.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a good thing.
yeah,
Good thing.
it really will. But we're going to move on to Valley. You want to kick us off on Valley?
Valley Speedway, March the 19th and the 26th. Two testing tunes for everybody. Get everything dialed in down there. Saturday, April 2nd will be their opening night with the All-Star Midgets. Valley Sprints, B-Mods, Outlaw Streets, Dirt Demons, and E-Modifies. They'll alternate midgets and mod lights every other weekend. So kind of opening it up a little bit there for two different classes to compete every other weekend. Good thing, Valley.
Ray Boyles has stepped in on that as far as the open wheel part of it, and I know I talked to him toward the end of last season, and he was telling me that he thought this would take place this year, that him and Dennis were talking about trying to bring some more open wheel racing back to the Kansas City area at Valley Speedway.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Now, they are also going to be running the Valley Sprints. Now, that's a wingless bunch that runs. Now, I know I'm probably jumping a little bit ahead, but I-35 is going to be the home track for the War Series.
Yeah.
Is
Casey
that-
Schumann, War Series.
Is a Dale.
Non-wing sprint cars.
Hey, Dale. Is that going to be any kind of a problem for you guys?
No, none whatsoever.
Because I was just wondering, it might conflict on schedules just a little bit with, because a lot of the same drivers are going to be running both series.
Yeah, but Casey Schumann, like he told us, he feels like he can get us at least 12, 15, maybe 20, 25 cars each week. And how do you say it when they tell you 25, count on 10? But you know how promoters are and everything.
Yeah.
But Casey Schumann kind of calling 35 their home track. But we're hoping it will not interfere in any way.
Yeah. Like I say, I didn't want to start any controversy or stir anything up, but it just popped in my mind. I thought, well, these are two series that run identical cars and everything, and whether or not both of you are going to be able to draw enough cars to
Well,
run.
we're hoping so. Mike Johnson's worked with Casey Schumann, and so far so good. Let's just put it that way. How do you say it? We won't know till we race them the first night and find out how many we have there.
Okay. But that's pretty much going to be the series that are going to run at Valley for the summer. Like we mentioned, it's going to be the Valley Sprints, the B-Mods, the Outlaw Streets, the Dirt Demons, the E-Mods, and then they'll be alternating midgets and mod lights every other weekend. But now getting down to the special show, especially this first one,
Yeah.
Rick, tell us about that.
May the 6th, the Power Eye Midgets will be in town. The Power Eye Midgets, if you never saw those, just think about a USAC sprint car, shrink that thing down to where it's about, 1,200 pounds, 1,300 pounds
Yeah.
with the driver.
I think they're lighter than that. I was
Are
thinking
they
it was
about-
8 or 9.
are they?
I was thinking.
I know they're really extremely light. I mean, you know, somebody told me there's about between 800 and 1,300. That's a few
Yeah.
pounds lighter than my mother-in-law. But you know, you can just about, when you line them up, you can pick them up and put them in place rather than having to make them drive
Yeah.
in place. You know, but if you ever want to see something exciting and fast, those Power Eye midgets something to watch. And I know one driver that comes to mind that drives those. You've heard of him a lot in NASCAR, and his name just left me.
That's all right.
But that happens. You know. Yeah. See, I'm getting there too.
You're good
you know.
at that
Yeah.
too. To me, it's really interesting. Here you got these little 4-cylinder motors, and they're getting between 300 and 350 horsepower out of those
Yeah.
things, which, you know, when they actually started with this, why, you know, they were just small, compact car motors that they couldn't do much with.
Yeah.
But short wheelbase, twitchy, they roll over easy. I don't know
Yeah.
what else to say. Just
They're always on two wheels. You never know if it's the front two, back two, side two, which two wheels they're going to be on, but they're always on two wheels is the best way to describe them once the green flag drops.
yeah. Once again, that would be one of them that I'd mark down on my calendar. Would be May the 28th at Valley for that Power Eye midget deal.
Yeah, and then May the 28th, the first part of the King of Kansas City comes up, and that's a big thrill to win it. A-Mods last year, Dennis Elliott bringing home the prize. Memory don't serve me on who won the B-Mods or the E-Mods.
Yeah, I can't remember
But I do remember Big Daddy winning the A-Mods in 29 cars. So
That was one of those races when we were talking about driver of the year.
Yeah.
I seen him in the pits, and he was telling me, he says, "Well, Mike," he says, "we're down on motors."
Yeah.
And he
Wasn't
said,
quite right.
"Yeah, I
Wasn't
can't."
quite
He
right.
said, "I can't run that wing. I usually run on the back." And,
Yeah.
and this motor just, I don't know if it's going to do the job or not.
And what a show they
Yeah.
put on.
We
What
went
a
down and
show.
run around the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, didn't need all that big horsepower. But anyway, that'll be a great race for the King of Kansas City. And then the second half
Yeah,
of it.
June 24th is the second half of the King of Kansas City. Valley Sprints, Outlaw Streets, and All-Star Midgets will be in attendance that night racing.
Yeah.
So,
And then Thursday will be a big show because they always have a huge crowd for the USMTS A-Mods there. I think it's going to be A-Mods and B-Mods that are going to be running that night. And like I say, the crowds really come in for that.
yeah. Drivers to watch, you're talking about Brad Smith. I saw a new sticker going on that car on Facebook today. MAV TV sponsoring him on that race.
Really?
car, Brad
Wow.
Smith. So, big move for him,
I was
getting
gonna
good
say.
sponsorship there.
Yeah.
Sean Burns, always a threat to win, and Ethan Isaac, you just can't say enough about. Won
No.
the big race at Atchison County Raceway last year. Seemed like when it was a big race, won the Battle of Bull Ring, too.
I was going to say,
Yep.
one at Humboldt,
Yeah, won
and then
Humboldt.
there was a third one,
Yep.
but I can't think of it.
But he won. Seemed like when the big races, he always rose to the occasion.
Yeah.
And Chase Galvin, always a threat to win also.
Yeah. In the Outlaw Streets, well, we got Jerry Schmidt, Jeremy Curlis, Devin Irwin, and Whit Bowen.
Bowen.
Like I say, there again, I don't know those guys that well, but
Jerry Schmidt, trust me, he can run with the best of them anywhere in the Outlaw Street cars. The rest of them I'm not as familiar with as him. Curlis I know pretty good because I saw him run side by side, wheel to wheel with Schmidt many
Yeah.
a night. So those guys, all of them, will be in the thick of the point battle this
Yeah.
year.
And the Midwest Mod Lights, I love this. This almost sounds like a family deal because you got David, Michael, Jeff, and Justin Rafferty. And it is a good race deal
Yeah.
because you're not sure which one's going to win.
And I asked them one night, I said, how's things go at a family reunion when y'all bump into each other, Thanksgiving dinner and stuff? And they said, when we race, we race. When we're away from the track, we family. So I thought that was good.
But those Mod Lights, man, they put on a good show. I'm sure they are probably in about the same speed category as the B Mods.
They'd
Pretty
be
fast.
close. Now, up in Iowa, they make the claim one time at Knoxville that one of them turned the track faster than an A-Mod did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's just saying that they can be that fast.
Yeah.
So they're a fast race car. We did jump past the E-Mods there. Nicholas Carpenter winning the points last year at Valley. That youngster will be in a B modified this year,
Yeah.
and if I'm not mistaken, an A modified at Atchison County
Oh, really?
Raceway. Going to jump to the A mod ranks there.
For a few races up
For a
there.
few races, kind of get the feel on it, feel it out. But Nicholas Carpenter, very good young talent.
He's one of those that I think you really got to keep an eye on. That possibly is, I mean, at 15 years old this year,
Yeah.
why he's got a bright future ahead of him, and his dad's got quite a bit of racing experience. And I think a lot of know-how that it's going to take to be able to adjust the car and
Good
make it right.
combination. Good combination, and he's still a chick magnet though. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
we got to keep an eye on, because he does attract the ladies. He says he can't help it. It's just a natural thing. But Nicholas Carpenter, one of the up and comers, really going to
Yeah,
be.
I think it'll be tough.
Yeah.
It'll be really tough. Brian Smith, Clifford Hamilton, and Nick Little. Nick come down. He was racing A-mods at Lakeside there for a couple of years, and stepped down into the E-mods.
Nick had a good year, a lot of wins, a lot of different tracks, driving for Bobby Russell and the 7-car Racing for the Cure. Everything that Bobby Russell Racing won this last season went to the Cure for Cancer, to find the cure for cancer.
That's a
So
good deal.
racing for a good cause.
Yeah. We're down to the Valley Sprints, and boy, these are some familiar names
Yeah.
that we've gotten to know quite a bit here in the last few years since
Yes.
Dennis actually started this. And I have to give Dennis Shroud a lot of credit for bringing sprint car racing back to the Kansas City area, because he was one of the first. And when I say sprint car racing, I guess I should clarify that and make it non-wing.
Non-wing.
Because the thing that was so interesting, and I presume this class, this Valley Sprints, is going to be the same. They can run a 305, a 360, or a 410. Don't make no difference.
Motor size does not
Yeah.
matter. They can bring
And,
it in there and run it. And I saw I think it's Chad Goff run one night, a 305, and he finished third.
I can't remember his
Cool
first
race.
name. I know you'll remember, but Black.
J.D. Black.
J.D. Black. He won, I think, at least two races in this class
Yeah.
out there with a 305.
Yeah. Yeah, so that tells you that maybe the focus sometimes is put on the wrong thing. That
Yeah.
big horsepower does not win races. It's the setup, and again, that man behind the wheel, or lady behind the wheel.
Yeah. Well, it's corner speed is what I attribute it to.
Yeah.
If you can get that rascal to lay down that power and get around the corner,
Yeah.
you're going to win. I don't
Yeah.
care what you got in there.
If you keep it on the track.
If you
But Chris Parkinson, Chris Goff, and Mitchell Moore. Mitchell Moore picking up wins last year. Had about 15 different numbers last year. He drove for a lot of different people, a lot of different cars, but Mitchell Moore always a threat to win. And what more can you say about Chris Parkinson? Always a great guy to be around, a great race car driver. So.
And there again, we might mention he's been two-time Cheeseworks Driver of the Year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that has to tell you something.
Yeah.
Chris won the War East Championship last year, if I remember right, which raced mostly in Illinois. But we are down to Thunder Hill, of which we can do that, and I think we can take a little break. But
Yeah. Or bring the mad scientist
Yeah.
in. We can do that.
I'm going to have a drink. But Thunder Hill is going to kick off April 16th.
Working with me will do that to you. But anyway.
They're going to kick off April 16th with a test and tune, and then Saturday night, April 30th, will be their regular season opener. And there again, they're going to be running the IMCA A-Mod stock cars, Northern Sport Mods, and the hobby stocks, which is the real meat of IMCA anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
they do have other divisions,
Right.
but that's what most of the tracks live on, especially it
Yeah.
seems to be around the central Kansas area.
Yeah. May the 21st will be the NCRA Nesmith Crate Late Models. They're on the bill, plus the regular race classes will be in addition that night.
I think a lot of people, when you start mentioning crate motors, get a little excited and think that it's not going to be what you're going to want to see, particularly in a late model. And I've seen them run. I think last year I went up and videoed a race up there with this. And of course, they combine with the NCRA, which I talked to Delbert Smith at the trade show in Wichita, and he was telling me that NCRA is going full crate late model this year. And I guess I like any kind of racing like that where the playing field is leveled out as much as you can be,
Yeah.
or it can be, because then that gets you down to car setup and driver. And
Yeah.
to me, that's what racing's all about.
And I've heard it both ways. I've heard some people say a crate's what you ship a motor in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've also saw drivers slip in, like Jesse Saubing in that 99 run crate motors. He was hard to beat
He's
anywhere
tough.
he raced.
Pretty tough.
And you've had, I saw both ends of the spectrum. So I'm still saying getting it hooked up and around the track, that driver-car combination is the key.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Now, I know that they also will be having their Thunder on the Hill, which is at the end of the year, and I don't have a date on that. It's usually end of September, 1st of October. So like I say, get on their website, and you can get all this information. But some drivers to watch. What do you think?
Well, Stephen Byer Jr.'s Jr. and I've already mentioned Tom Charles at another track. Those two are a threat to win anytime you put them on the track. Now, one of my sentimental favorites, I've watched him race ever since he had a hobby stock car or stock car with a key on the back. It looked like a wind-up toy, is Richard Spriggs. And Richard, I'm telling how old you are now. Happy birthday, you're 58 years old. I know, I'm that age. So, then you've got Brian Murphy, another great driver.
Yeah.
All those will be in the mix. But again, hats off to Richard Spriggs at 58, still racing competitive with that same number,
Yeah.
81. Then you got Tom Charles with an 81. Maybe there's something to the number. I don't know. But Stephen Byers Jr., always fast, always threat to win.
I kind of call that Stevens' home track because I think
Yeah.
him and his dad both started there. And of course, his dad killed in an unfortunate accident at Thunder Hill several years ago. And I think talking with Stephen and some of the family, you know, he had kind of a tough time even wanting to go back. I mean, that's understandable.
And then came back and won his dad's memorial race.
Right,
which
exactly.
was very special too.
And just to talk a little bit about Tom Charles, of course, Hall of Fame driver, CARB Hall of Fame driver from Kansas City. But how about stock cars? What do you think?
Stock cars, Dominique Thifault, he is always a threat to win. Greg Dieters, Brandon Conright, Matt Stahlbomber, which they always have these names that a Southern guy has trouble. Of course, I have trouble with any word, but, you know, these guys, all of them, great drivers, always put on a great show down there in stock car class. And we'll be seeing a lot of these at ACR this year because they're going with the IMCA, so a lot of traveling between those two tracks, I imagine.
The Northern Sport Mods is Tyler Fry, Brian Rigsby, Austin Charles that you mentioned a while ago.
Grandson of Tom Charles.
Yeah. And Kelly Kreisler. And had the opportunity to watch.
Actually, that's Kelly Neisler.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
supposed to be K-N-I.
Oh, I'm sorry.
K-N-E-I-S-L-E-R. It's Kelly. The way you pronounce it is Neisler.
Oh,
His
okay.
father told me that at ACR
Oh, really?
last year. But Kelly Neisler is how you pronounce
Yeah.
that.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that
Okay.
for me, Rick.
Kelly
I just
Neisler.
copied it off the website.
He is a great driver. He picked up a win at ACR last year toward the end of the season. Very good driver. All of these, and Austin Charles, how can you say more? You know, a lot of people don't know it, hearing impaired, wears the hearing aids, and still knows where the cars are on the track. No rear view mirrors in these things, so you're going by feel anyway. Austin Charles, I tell you what, he is just like old grandpa and like dad. The family runs strong in racing.
Very nice young guy.
Oh, excellent young guy.
One of the few people, I guess, I mean, there's more than several that do, but anytime I ever see him at the track, well, hi, Mike.
Yeah, calm demeanor.
Yeah, how you doing?
Always willing to interview.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that, and you appreciate that. And then
Very
for
good,
such a
very
young
good
guy
guy.
like that to do that.
Yep.
Hobby stocks, we got Tyler Garst, Tommy Fose, I guess that, Nicholas Ronbaum, Ronbaum, Dalton Ronbaum.
Okay, if you said one wrong, you got
Yeah, I
a
got a
vote.
vote.
Okay. I'm not real familiar with these hobby stock drivers, but I have, like you said, done my homework and looked on there. All these guys are top in points. They're right there in the standings, so that means they got to be competitive and consistent to be there. So look for great things out of the hobby stock class.
You just don't know if some of them's going to move on. They may be racing different classes, we don't know, but that's what we're looking at for right now. But Rick, this is one of my favorite tracks. They have that big, wide racing surface. I mean, I believe if they really wanted to, they could run 5 wide.
They could.
That track is really wide, and the banking is, gosh, forever, it seems like. I mean, they could put a pond in there. And
carry a lot of speed that way.
Have to
Carry
be
a lot of
30
speed
feet
through
deep.
the turns and everything. Kind of a flat foot track. Once you get her wound up and set, you go.
Yeah. And of course, I love too talking about Stephen Bowers Jr. I've seen him. He'll up on the straightaway, especially on that backside. He'll be almost up there going off the track, and then shoot that baby down onto the bottom, and almost a slide job, but not exactly.
It looks like he picks up 20 miles an hour when he does it.
Exactly.
He gets that downhill run, so it's really good.
There again, I think Thunder Hill will, as they have done in years past, will pick up a lot of drivers on Saturday nights where there's a rain out or whatever that want to come in there and try and get some points. And one of the biggest names that I can think of that I've seen up there, you mentioned Sabine a while ago. Jesse used to go up there a lot, and also Jordan Gabrowski. He drops in there occasionally, and I'm trying to remember who the stock car driver was. Mike Nichols.
Mike Nichols comes in there a lot. Matter of fact, he won the points there a year before last, if I'm not mistaken. So Mike Nichols, everybody knows him. He'll, how you say it, Mike will show you how to set up your car identical to his and still beat you.
Still beat you.
So And plain and simple, some of the best IMCA racing you'll see anywhere. Thunderhill will draw those guys from Central Kansas, Salina, a lot of guys. Jeremy Pitzenbarger's another B-Mod driver, goes down there. He won the points in the B-Modified class a year ago, or either 2 years ago, I think now.
Yeah.
So that's another name we want to throw out there as competitive there.
Okay, that's going to kind of complete what we've got here so far for around the general Kansas City area. Rick is going to come back here in just a minute, and he's going to have Phil Birkinshaw with him, the owner-operator of Atchison County Speedway, and they're going to talk about what's going to be going on up there. I hate to jump ahead any, but they've got that big USMTS. I can hardly wait to see that on that 5th mile track.
And also got that big tag team challenge coming up,
Oh,
kicking their season off. So let's go ahead and bring Phil Birkinshaw in right now. We'll kick you out of the season.
All right.
We'll just put you out. I'd like to welcome in Phil Birkinshaw, owner. We call him the mad scientist. He is the owner, operator, track preparer. Is there anything at the track you don't do, Phil?
Well, when you don't show up, I guess I'm going to have to start announcing too.
You'll do that too.
Whatever it takes.
Glad to have you here at Napa Auto Parts of St. Joe, Dale Eaton's shop here. Glad to have you on board with us here at Cheeseworks Video. Let's go ahead and jump right into it about Atchison County Raceway. This is your 5th year, so tell us about the start and how you came to where you are now.
Man, it's been a long road, I'll tell you that. You know, when I first started building this place and getting ready to open up, they said, be ready, and I'm thinking, be ready for what?
Yeah,
well, I found out on opening night what to be ready for. So, of course, growing pains with any business, anybody getting started. I had zero experience in this deal, very little racing experience, a lot of bleacher times experience. But so it's been a long road, but it's good, and I think we've arrived. I feel like we've arrived. We put on a great show every week, put on great races, a good smooth surface. So I think
vouch for that. Yes.
Yeah, we've learned how to do it, I think.
And not only that, going the IMCA sanction this year, you want to tell us a little bit about how you came about that, the decision was made, and just take us through that.
Yeah, you know, the B-Mods were kind of faltering. I mean, you know, the big debate was that's the biggest class in this area, but really, it's not the biggest at Atchison.
It wasn't at Atchison. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so, you know, we felt like, you know, with the names that we had involved with the modifieds who wanted to come here and race, that, you know, going IMCA was going to be a good thing. USRA just didn't work. We'd had to change nights, and that wasn't going to work. So we like what IMCA brings to the table, and we like the players, we like the rule set. So, you know, we're looking forward to it.
And some real good signs. You know, you always look at the signs of is it going to be a success? Is it not going to be a success? When you go to sanction, it's always a nerve-wracking decision. Over 90-some people at the drivers' meeting, new guys coming in there and everything, wanting to get ready, get those licenses for IMCA and everything. So that's a good sign when you have that many people at a drivers' meeting early in the year.
Yeah, of course, you know, the sanction is going to be for the stock cars and for the modifieds only. We're not sanctioning the other classes. Those classes are doing really well and growing. Our E-Mod class and our Hobby Stock class, which are identical motor packages, the rules are fantastic, and we're seeing the benefits of putting those rules in place a few years ago and really seeing that class grow and see the competitiveness behind it.
Okay, coming up, I got to get to this right away. You're going to practice on a Friday and you're going to race on Saturday night, the Tag Team Challenge. Tell us about that and how it works.
That's all next week, next Friday, not this one upcoming.
I can't wait.
Yeah, Friday the 18th. You know, we're going to have a practice for all classes. You know, we're not going to. Anytime we have a practice, anybody's available.
Gates are open.
Bring a ride lawnmower in, we'll let you have a practice. So no big deal. And of course, Saturday is what we're looking for. This is the kickoff to the IMCA sanction with the stock cars and the modifieds. It's the Tag Team Challenge. You don't have to team up with someone, but if you came, two modifieds came as a team. They race for their purse throughout the night, $1,000 to win, $100 to start, I think is what the pay is. And but as a team, they compete for points as well. So the team with the highest points wins another $1,000.
And I will say this, you have not been bashful whatsoever on big shows and regular shows with the money. You put the money up, that brings the people in, and that's what it takes to put on good shows.
It's what it takes to go broke, too.
Yeah, well, you know, I wasn't going there, but... Yeah.
But anyway, the stock cars is the same deal. They can team up with another car if they wish, and they're $750 to win and $500 for the best team in points throughout the course of the night. So looking forward to that. Hopefully we're able to build on this, you know, in upcoming years.
And I'll tell you, the Tag Team Challenge, I really like that when two cars go out there. You've already got, I noticed one that I really keep an eye on, the modified class. You've got Tom Charles and Bowers Jr. already teamed up, going to come in there I look for them to be a real threat to win that thing.
That's a tough one, that's for sure. That's a good team, and there's some other teams out there that I'm hearing whispers about, and I think it's going to be a good one. But yeah, that's definitely a team right there that it'd be hard to bet against.
Okay, I do want to ask this question. You've been sanctioned IMCA now. I don't know if you'll have the answer for it, but I did notice on Facebook they're opening up the rules a little bit on the back, on the rear of the car, letting them put a squirrel cage. Did I get that right in there?
Is that opening up or closing it more down? I'm
Which
not
is-
really sure.
I'm not either,
I'm not
Phil.
privy to it right
Well,
now.
I was hoping you had the answer, so neither one of us did. So
No tech guy
Mike-
here, that's for sure. I stay out of that
Mike
as much
may
as
have to go
possible.
for that one. Okay.
We'll get to the bottom of that. But to me,
Yeah.
just the press release looked more like a
Tightening
more
of
of
the
a
rules
restraint. I think
instead
so.
of a
Yeah,
loosening
yeah,
of the rules.
absolutely.
Okay, just because IMCA, that's what they're known for, is keeping those rules affordable.
Yeah, and that's been our push with the hobby stocks and the E-mods. We set those rules in place a couple years ago, and our biggest push is try to keep as many bells and whistles out of it, and that's why we haven't sanctioned our hobbies, because in my opinion, there's a lot of cost drivers in the IMCA hobby stocks, and there's not in ours, and we wanted to keep that. Keep those toys out of there and watch the class grow. And the guys, to me, they come to me and they say, we need to quit changing rules every year. So, our biggest thing is, okay, let's get them in place and leave them alone.
Write them in stone, there they are.
Pretty good job of doing that, and plan to keep that trend.
Something else you've got coming up Saturday. Tell us a little bit about this in Atchison, St. Patrick's Day.
Huge hit last year.
Yeah.
First annual car show we had last year and Kids Fun Day, and it was a big hit. And of course, we want to do it in our own hometown. I
Right.
mean, that's our target market for not only racers but as well as fans. And we try to connect and make relationships between the racers and the fans, and this is a good way to do it. All kinds of carnival games for the kids, treasure hunt this year, 2-minute shopping spree given away to Alps, treasure hunts for adults as well. Just a real fun time. We get involved with the parade, and just a really fun time.
Yeah, sadly, I'm going to miss it this year. I was lucky enough to be there last year. But one that was really hit was the money booth, because I saw drivers over there kicking kids out of the way saying, Daddy needs new tires. You're going to have to get out of the way.
Yeah.
No, but that was a big hit, too. I remember I tried to let them stay in there 2 minutes, but it was 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But a big hit. You're always doing things, different games for the kids. It's always a great thing to do in a community like that.
Yeah, and we got new things this year. We've added to our drum train, which we have, cartoon characters. I mean, we didn't just throw some wheels on some drums. We did some really nice work.
Yeah.
And
a minion. You got a minion this year.
that's
Two
right.
of
We have a minion. We always try to work with the kids, and we'll have other mascots there. Elroy the elk is going to be there, and and those things are larger than life to the kids.
Yeah.
And our biggest thing is try to get the kids involved and try to make relationships between the fans and the racers, and of course with the kids mods, we have kids that race.
Yes.
And we got a family.
Well, you have the kids mod class
That's right.
specifically for the kids to race.
That's right, and we'll have some kids coming down. There's some families that come from all the way from Nebraska just to race in this kids mods, because we've given them an outlet, a place to race for kids that normally at other tracks they wouldn't be old enough to race. And as long as they're within the same age group, the insurance is good with it, and we're well covered, and we have no issues there at all.
Okay, tell us about some of the big events you've got coming up throughout the year.
Well, of course, we start next weekend with the Tag Team Challenge, and then the next race that we have, other than practices, is April 1st and 2nd. That's April Fools, of course, and it's Don't Be a Fool, be in the cage. So we have the Spring Fling, and that's shaping up to be a huge race this year. If the weather trends continue the way they are now, it's going to be fantastic. It's 4 classes of the micro sprints. There's just no better race. When those cars get together, it's just 24 cars on that track, and it's what race do you watch? I mean, there's racing going on everywhere, and that's generally the way it is in the cage anyway. Great racing all
Yeah, it
over
always
the track.
is.
Yeah,
High
absolutely.
banks, smooth track, great racing surface. You always re-prep it a little bit during intermission.
Right.
That's where I come in. Always doing things for the kids during intermissions, for the adults too. Last year gave a lot of money away, rolled up $100 bills in T-shirts and threw them back to the fans.
Yep.
I like that. I couldn't catch them, but really good environment there at Ashland County Raceway.
Very family friendly, very family orientated. Giving away $1,200 this year on opening night. We're going to hand it to people. We can hand it to them in the form of a $500,
Right.
or we might divvy it up in 20s and 100s. We just do different things and love to give away, give back to the fans that come. Opening night, of course, is April 29th. That's our opening night. So we got the Spring Fling, we got the Tag Team Challenge, and our opening night is April 29th, and we have some practices in there in between. Our biggest event, our next big event after that is Memorial Day weekend, the Small Car Nationals. You guys touched on a little bit with the compacts coming in there, $1,000 to win, but you touched on the Outlaw Mini Mods, and they are basically the bat wings. They're little bitty modifieds on little bitty tires with 600cc motorcycle motors. I mean, they could just flat get after
A
it.
go-kart with a 600cc motorcycle basically is what you're looking at.
Very limited suspension and very limited on tires, but a whole lot of motor. I mean,
I
the
have saw the
600
bat
cc's.
wings one time before. Very fast, very entertaining little car.
Yeah, we've had some testing tunes with a couple coming to the track before, and to give the fans a taste of what it is, and that's going to be a good one. They're there, I think, 500 to win that night, and they're going to be supporting the Small Car Nationals deal, and that deal will bring probably 50 front-wheel drive cars from across the nation for thousands to win. That's a big race for them.
We actually last year run it with the sprinkling rain.
That's
it
right.
started
It still had
raining. You
40
actually
some
had
cars.
to plow the infield, the pits rather, to get everybody to and from the track. But still a big success last year. Big car count.
Yep, Tag Team Challenge, or excuse me, the Cage Man Series will probably have a race that night as well. I don't know, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but the Cage Man Series is always a huge, entertaining event. Just if you can watch the Cage Man Series and not have a smile, something's wrong with you. That's for sure.
Yeah, and one of my favorites you have too every once in a while is that forward-backward race.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I laughed in the booth. I thought I was going to fall out the window is
Yeah.
what I thought whenever that was going on. But tell us about this big USMTS race
Well, of course,
coming up
yes,
on
that's right. I
Sunday.
forgot about that. That's a Sunday night race. That's Todd Staley's race. We're going to give him the track and let him take that deal. And really looking forward to it. Of course, it's something we've been wanting to see for a long time. We saw a glimpse of
A
it
glimpse
last year.
of it. I was going to say that. Yeah, one of the best races
Yeah.
I personally watched last year, or was part of last year, was that big race with the USMTS names.
Yeah. Forget 2 wide racing. When you come to the cage, it's 3 wide, and it could be 4 wide. It's a wide racetrack, and it's a small 5th mile, but it doesn't matter what size the track is. It's the configuration that makes the difference.
And what started out as a 4-foot wide berm on the top, Gustin made sure it was about a half-inch wide when he got through with it up there. But that was some of the best racing you'll ever witness. One caution, and that was for a cut-down tire.
That's right. Yep. And it was a good one, and
It
we've
was.
seen a lot of good ones like that. And
was, yeah.
I'll tell you the one thing to look out for, is the IMCA classes. Of course, you never know what you're going to get when it's starting new, but I know what I'm going to get in the stock cars. I mean, they're coming from way out over in Missouri to out in Kansas. You're just talking.
And I'll
it's
throw
just
out
huge.
some names. You got Brad Whitney. I call him Bad Brad. He's a threat to win anywhere he goes. Many track championships in his background from other tracks. He's going to be there.
Blake Peeler,
Blake
Jim
Peeler, Shocker Chassis is going to be in the house. Modifieds, you've got Marriott's going to be there.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yep. He's going to be coming in there. Jeff Marriott, the Gentle Giant, he's talking about running there. He's an IMCA man. So got a lot of guys.
Jim
that's gonna be
Peeler,
coming in.
Jim Peeler,
Jim Peeler
yeah.
will be there also.
Yeah. Jim told me that they're going to do some 3-day weekends, and I expect that's what's going to happen. You're going to get the guys to this area from not only from our area but from abroad. You get them in our area, and they'll stay all 3 nights and race for points. And I definitely think that our stock car class is going to be second. Gene Stiegel from up that way is going to be there as well.
And not only that, before you had great racing in the stock car class, but you're just looking for more volume, more
That's
numbers
right.
and
Oh,
everything.
that's
Because anytime you put last year 5 to 10 cars on the track, it was still side by side to
That's
the
right.
finish.
That's right.
So great things happening. What about later in the year? Anything big coming up that you want to enlighten us with now, or you
Well,
want to kind
same
of
things
keep
we
us
did
secret?
last year. No, July 3rd, we expect that to be the biggest race of
Yes.
the season. How could it not be? July 3rd is on Sunday.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to go to work on 4th of July normally, so come
No
out and
reason not to
support
be
that
there.
race. That's the BMOD Explosion. It's our 3rd annual. It's produced good numbers, good cars for 3 years, and not only that, the best racing you're going to see. I mean, it's been fantastic racing, and no one's been able to lead that thing every lap yet to get that extra money, and
And
but it's there if they do.
Yeah, and we talked about last year about the track, and we talked earlier about big wide racetracks and smooth surfaces. I'll tell you what, yours is second to none.
Yeah,
High
no, I
bank,
agree.
it may be a 1/5 mile, but I'll tell anybody that's the fastest 1/5 mile I've ever saw.
Yeah, it's configured in such a way that you're going to go fast, but you're not. You're going to be racing against someone. You're going to be racing around someone. You're never going to be alone.
No.
So it's definitely racy, and then of course the stock car smack Smackdown will come on another Sunday
Yeah.
night in August. Don't have the date on that off the top of my head. but
Hobby
that's-
Stock Stampede again this year.
No, we're not going to do the
No,
Hobby
Hobby
Stock
Stock
Stampede.
Stampede.
They'll be able to support the stock cars on that night, so they'll have a little extra money in that
So
deal.
I don't get to ride the bucking bull.
Yeah, no,
All right, no mechanical bull this year. We had that last
yeah,
year.
Yep. So, but we're definitely visiting some of those big races, starting off with the Small Car Nationals and the Beamont Explosion and the Stock Car Smackdown.
And we don't want to forget your brainchild that we're going to be having during intermission for the kids. We're going to be having some Power Wheel races
Right.
there too. You
Yep.
make them a track on the infield. Always a lot of fun doing that. We'll try to keep the kids and the adults entertained while you're doing a little work on the track during intermission.
Yep, new this year is going to be more drum train rides. There's going to be 5 of those. So we built more cars so the intermission doesn't have to be too long to be able to get them.
So,
That's gonna be cool for
are
the
you going to
kids.
jump any more cars through fiery rings
You
or
never
anything
know.
like that?
Hey,
I mean,
I tell you what, there's no one that works as hard as me in the
Oh, I
industry
know
because
that.
I've not
I
seen
know
a
that.
promoter catch himself on fire
No,
yet,
no.
except for me.
you did,
Okay?
yeah.
So
We had a
you got to
fire
give me an A for effort, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
we had a fire extinguisher. We chose to beat him out with a club. You know? No,
Hey,
always entertaining to talk to you. Always entertaining at the racetrack. Some of the best racing in the world. Phil, I thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here with us
You
today. Words out. Atchison County Raceway Friday nights, race fans, the place to be.
That's right.
Okay, we're back here on Cheeseworks video. We're going to talk about some of the other tracks now. And one track that kind of gets forgot about, he don't run a lot, but when he runs races, they're great races. That is US 36 Raceway, right on 36 Highway, hard to miss. Got the drag strip sitting there
Yeah.
with it, runs it on Saturday night, but on Friday nights and a couple Saturday nights this year, some big races. I'm lucky enough, I'm one of the announcers there that gets to help out, but he has 3 races on the high banks this year. Starting out with the Bud Shootout. Always a big turnout on
Yes.
June the 10th. ASCS Sprint Cars, A, B, and E Modifieds all will be in attendance on that night.
Excellent show. I think I've been up there for 2 or 3 of those. And of course, Mike Franks has always got the track in excellent shape. Another one of those guys that just seems to understand dirt.
I think me and you got to call a race one
Yes.
night from the grandstand.
From the
which was really
grandstands,
good.
yes.
Had a lot of fun doing that.
We
that
won't
night.
go into why, but
No,
yes, we did.
We did. We pulled it off. And then on July 22nd, ASCS Sprint Cars again, A, B, and E Modifieds also will be in attendance that night. ASCS Sprint Cars always a great show.
I should have asked you. I'm sorry for interrupting, Rick, but
That's okay.
isn't that the Warrior Series?
That's the Warrior Series, and it's 360 Sprint Cars is what that
I was
is.
going to say, I wouldn't want anybody to think it was the national tour because it's not. So it's just
No.
local Warrior.
Local Warrior region is what that is.
There again, another place where Jonathan Cornell just seems to have it figured out.
Yeah, he can get around that racetrack in a hurry. He can. So
The other thing I kind of like about that race also is they seem to get quite a few drivers from up in Nebraska, and I'm trying to remember who's the real tall guy.
yeah,
Can't think of his name. You know what I
you
mean?
got Clausen that comes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his
Yeah.
name
But
either.
anyway, we'll move
offhand.
on.
But the Bud Shootout, you're talking about what you like about it. The Bud girls always
Oh,
interesting
yeah,
too. They're always there.
that's a
so that's
fun
always
deal.
a good thing. Yeah, that's well worth the price
Yeah.
of attendance in itself. And then hold on to your hats, race fans. Saturday, September the 17th, the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars with the NLS Sprint Cars will be in attendance. They're going to invade the fast 3/8 mile of dirt along with the B Modifieds. And they've had 2 of them in the past, and always slam packed,
Yeah.
as full as you can get that place.
Oh, yeah.
It holds 5,000 people, and I'd say we hit 8,000 that
Yeah.
night for the first race there. But they're having that again this year. The World of Outlaws. You're talking about the Kensers, the Swindales. You're talking about all the big names. The Lasowskis coming
Yeah.
in that night. They will be at the high banks of US 36 Raceway.
I'm going to show how dense I am, okay? Probably what little I have gotten to know about sprint car racing because I've been around the modifieds and late models and
Yep.
all that. Is this going to be a combined race or
No.
is that 2 different shows?
2 separate shows.
So is the NSL, is that a 360 deal?
That is a 360. It's a small. Well,
Okay.
it's actually limitations on what they can do, chassis and wing and
Okay,
and engine.
okay.
So limitations. I won't say it's a strict 160,
Yeah.
360. I'll say there are limitations.
And this is the one that Danny Lazowski won the points deal
Yes.
last
Mhm.
year.
Yes.
And they're going to be there with man. That is going to be one
That's
heck
a
of a
show.
show.
And then also add the B modifieds into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one guy said the reason he comes and races the big shows there is just to watch the others and get to race in
Yeah.
the meantime. You know.
Yeah.
So
I think Mike
what a
better
show.
Mike better bring in some extra seating.
Yeah, Mike Franks. Matter of fact, he's working on that. He's also working on added concession stands
Yeah.
and everything else. So he is really putting, how you say it, all his eggs in the basket here. He's going all out with this, and it's always a great show. I've been to 2 of them there,
Yeah.
and luckily enough, knock on wood, I got to help announce one.
Yeah.
And if you ever had trouble staying up with something on the track, just let the sprint
Oh,
cars.
no kidding.
Jack Hoddenchild spun out on lap number 1. Goes to the back, comes all the way through that pack and finishes second in the
Oh,
feature.
really? Oh,
That
wow.
was a show to remember.
That would be good. And you could do that at 36 because it seems like, man, some of those guys, they climb up on the banking up there and away they go. I
Yeah.
mean, look
And-
out.
Yeah, and the wall on turn 4 is just a high side there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they use it as a cushion, you know. So great racing action.
Really exciting track to
Yeah.
go watch just about anything, let alone the sprint cars. And I think originally, did not Mike Franks build that track with the intention of running sprint cars?
He did. When it first opened, it was a sprint car track. They came down from like Knoxville, but how do you say it? The economy was good then.
Yeah.
Gas was very low cost then. A lot of the big sprint car drivers came there, and it was a weekly sprint car
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
And then things kind of tightened up. And how do you say it? Drag strip took off, so
Yeah.
you know he kind of waited out, but he still don't want people to forget about the dirt track.
Yeah.
It's still there.
That's one I'm going to have to mark on my calendar too.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a humdinger.
Yeah. Mike Franks, Ruth Franks always do a great job there. Clean facility, nice facility, just a good place to go watch a race.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And that, we already mentioned, of course, Jonathan Garnell would be one of the guys that we really want to keep an eye on there for the ASCS race.
And A Modifieds, I was there one night, lucky enough to call this race. You had Jim Moody and Dennis Elliott started like second and third.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped the green flag. They got to the front and they raced 18 laps side by
Side by side. Wow.
and never flinched, never touched.
Mhm.
Moody won it by fender.
Yeah.
One of the best races I'll ever watch. Let's don't forget Sam Florence. Runs extremely well there in that 41 car.
Okay.
Has won features at US 36 Raceway before. See, I
Yeah.
kind of got tang-tungled there too.
Tang-tungled.
Tang-tungled. And Isaac Dotson, always a threat to win.
Yeah.
There at US 36 Raceway.
I'm trying to remember, is Isaac the one that Mark Fluffy used to talk about? Said
Yeah,
that he thought
had
that
more
he was
talent in
probably
his little finger than he had in his whole body, and that's saying a lot coming
that
from Mark Dotson.
from Mark Dotson. That's
Yeah, who ran
that's a
with the
bunch.
USMTS for
Yeah.
years, you know.
Yeah, I presume Mark, since we mentioned the name, is still running late models back
Still
east.
running late models, and Mark is an uncle to Isaac.
Yeah.
Michael Dawson is Isaac's father, who also races. You also have Matt and Tim Dawson.
Yeah.
Tim is also one of the Dawson brothers, and
Right.
Matt won the USRA championship like 3 years ago.
Wow.
So racing is definitely in that Dawson
Yeah.
family, and they'll be there in fine form when it comes race time.
You know, not to snub those guys any, but the Modifieds put on a great show up there too.
Oh, yeah.
Like I say, I kind of go there to watch the sprints, but the Modifieds, they put on some really good
And
races.
it's always a track that's extremely fast.
Yes,
extremely
without a
fast
doubt.
track. B Modifieds, right here, you're looking at Dale Eaton's place. Tim Eaton, always a threat to win that B Modified, has several feature wins at US 36 Raceway.
Yeah.
So he's one to watch. And I told you you'd hear Jacob Ebert's
Uh-huh.
name again. He has won there in the B Modified class before. He's one to watch when they're there. And I'm going to throw another name out,
Okay.
Eddie Swope.
Yep.
Eddie Swope Jr., always a threat to win at US 36. Well, anywhere he goes for that matter, but he always really runs well at that track.
Right. All of them good drivers, good equipment, and for the B Mod class, always put on a good show. I'm with you, man. Every one of them is big guys who really watch out on a race night.
E Modified, Matt Dorsum moving. He started out in a B Mod, back to an E Modified this year. He's a threat to win, and Randy Smith Jr. going to be driving for John Bowler.
Oh, really?
So look out for him in the E Modified class.
Has some good equipment. We know that.
Yeah.
I-35.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you what. Track of the year. Look forward to going up there. Mike and Kyle Johnson, of course, doing a great job. They take care of things really nice. Very fan friendly. Just have a good time when you go up
Yeah,
there.
and just you talking about the fan-friendly part. They've also added this year an area for lawn chairs and everything.
Oh,
And
really? Where's that going to be?
It's just as you go in, right before you get to the bleachers, they have
Oh,
cleared
okay.
off. It was kind
Yeah.
of a mound of dirt. They have flattened that off. They've leveled it up. Got
Okay.
it gravel good and sandy good
Yeah.
there. And yard chair area. And
Good.
First come, first serve, kind of in front of the beer
Yeah.
shack there. That way they don't have to go far.
What will that move the attendance up to there? Do you have any idea?
No, I can't tell you for sure. I
Okay.
wish I could. Let's just put it this way: fill it up, race fans, and we'll add more. That's the best way of saying it.
There you go.
Starting out the season, we're going to be starting on March the 12th with practice. Our rain day for that is Sunday the 13th. Just
Okay.
in case something comes up, go ahead and throw it out so all the drivers and fans are aware that we do have a rain day for us. So we
Right.
will move it up. First big race is USMTS Special on Sunday, March the 20th, with the Ironman B mods and stock cars also will be in attendance that
Man,
night.
that's coming up quick, isn't it? What's that,
That
2
is
weeks?
2 weeks on Sunday afternoon. It's on Sunday. It's Sunday night, rather,
Yeah.
starting about 6 that night
Yeah.
is when we're going to start it. Then our season opener, when we kick off our point series and USRA points at the track, will be on March 26th. And weekly, we're going to feature this year on our weekly shows, which we'll talk about the other a little later, but USRA Modifieds, USRA B Mods, USRA Stock Cars, Pure Stocks, Chargers,
Uh-huh.
and E-Modifieds with a total of 33 races this year is what we're going to have.
Wow. Now,
So-
you said Chargers. I did not hear Grand National.
Grand National is kind of a Charger class. Grand National can run both. It can run a Charger.
Okay, that's
And
just
the
what I
Grand
was going to
National
ask. So if
Lakeside.
there were drivers from Lakeside that wanted
They
to come
can
up
come
there,
up there
they
and
can come
they
up
do
and
cross
compete.
over. They do
Okay.
cross over.
Okay.
So, and the pure stock class kind of took the place of the hobby stock class.
Yeah.
Just we kind of wanting to get in alignment with some other tracks, maybe,
Yeah.
and but it is a pure stock.
Well,
class.
now is that a USRA
no,
sanctioned class?
not at 35. No.
Not a 35. Okay.
No. Big events coming up this year at I-35 include Racing for Ryan, always a big event. Bud and Amanda Wilson put this show on.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, if it goes to a good cause, neonatal unit gets all the proceeds from that. We take up donations. Last year, over $6,000
Wow.
was donated and sent down there to the neonatal unit at St. Luke's Hospital. So it's a very good thing.
Tremendous.
That's on June the 18th. And then, of course, the Fireworks Spectacular on and off the track,
Yeah.
which is July the 2nd.
All right, let me ask you. I hate to interrupt.
That's fine.
I do that a lot.
Go ahead.
Are the Boy Scouts going to raise a flag?
Boy Scouts, we're hoping to have them back and raise the flag. We've done that once last year, and
Yeah.
we've had a lot of demands to do that.
I was
again
going to
this
say,
year.
I saw it one year and I thought, man, that's pretty
Yeah.
slick. I love that.
And we're adding a new announcer this year to
Yes.
it. Going to be working with me, Carly Bowling, 15-year-old young lady, and
Uh-huh.
we keep her sidetracked from the boys. She's going to be fine. She's going to be in the announcer's booth with us, and I'll tell you what, she is really excited and looking forward to this year. And how you say it, that youth and enthusiasm goes a long way.
it
So
does.
we look forward
Exactly.
to welcome her on board.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the Castor celebration, July 23rd. Then we have a kids' night, which you give away school supplies, backpacks filled with school supplies. Smoking trackside barbecue and beer bash, August 12th and
Wow,
13th.
okay.
We will not be racing the 12th, but that will be the barbecue night, the beer sampling night.
Uh-huh.
They're going to be brewing upstairs in the.
Oh, really?
Well, maybe revenuers ain't listening, are they? But they're going to be brewing up top in the barn grill. And then they're also going to be cooking out. And this is one of those where they're judged for their barbecue, and it actually is like a point deal. Just like we go race at different places for points,
Yeah.
they go cook barbecue at different
Oh,
places
really?
with judges judging the barbecue.
Okay.
So that tells you the high quality it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then we got carb night, always a big night, August the 27th. And now let's get to the specials we're having
Yeah,
at I-35
okay.
Speedway. Casey Schumann, the War Series non-wing sprint cars, they will be in attendance 8 times in 2016.
Yeah.
Mod Lights will invade I-35 Speedway 8 times this 2016 season, and that explains the every other
Yeah.
weekend at Valley where we're not stepping on each
Right,
other's
right,
toes.
right.
Vintage racers, for those of us old enough, you and me remember them
Yeah,
real well.
without a doubt.
Yeah, I even remember Ben Hur in the chariot. They'll race a total of 12 times. ULMA late models, we talked about those earlier. They appear once on the schedule along with the SLMR late models holding a special June 11th. Now that is Kosiski,
That's
Joe
what I thought.
Kosiski's group coming down,
Yeah.
and they pretty much with the ULMA can race together.
Yeah.
So it should be a good night of late model racing.
That
on
should
June
be a
11th.
humdinger there.
Yeah. Midwest Lightning Sprints, Mike Osvig is now kind of
Mm-hmm.
looking over that, uniting it. They'll race at I-35 Speedway 15 times.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Heartland Missions and Motorsports Kids Power Wheels will
Oh,
race
that's-
6 times during intermission, and we are going to have a point battle for the Power Wheels racers. So it ought to be a lot of fun. Now, I've already told some of the guys that's trying to put washing machine motors on and things like that, the first one I catch cheating, guys, it's over. But it's going to be a lot of fun with the Kids Power Wheels. And really like to thank Heartland Mission and Motorsports Kids for stepping up,
Yeah,
sponsoring this
sponsoring
event
it.
for. And this all leads up to our 7th annual Show Me Spectacular on October the 8th. That's with all the open
Yeah.
wheel cars. Stock and pure stock will not run on those nights. Open wheel nationals is what it is.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I
And-
think I
yeah.
remember that a couple of years ago they had that, but it was kind of late in the year and it was kind of cold,
Yeah.
if I remember right.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. Last year, weather good, big crowds.
Yeah.
It was real good. We added,
Good.
first year we didn't have the modifieds, any of the modifieds. We added those and real good last year. Had a big turnout for it. Good year. Championship night for our weekly classes and the final USRA points night will be October 29th, and the awards banquet at Cameron Community Center is on November the 5th.
That's a good time. Those are fun to go to.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of lets their hair down a little bit. I know.
Yeah.
A lot of
like I
times
said,
when you're at the track, everybody's got their race face on, and you get to go to those award banquets, and the drivers and their families are,
Yeah, and I
Friendly.
I was lucky enough to be the MC, and you know me, I'm not serious a lot of times. We had a lot of fun that night, and it's just good people and
Yeah.
good times. It really was. And you want to talk about some drivers at I-35 this year to watch. Bowler Motorsports is going to be bringing 14 cars to the track this 2016 season.
14.
14. The only one he don't have is a modified out there, but I do see his name on some modified cars. So
Yeah.
Bowler Motorsports back with a vengeance, you might say.
Yeah.
But I could probably name all the drivers, but I'm sure I'd leave
Yeah,
somebody,
somebody
else.
else.
So let's just leave it at he's
Yeah.
got some great names driving his
Yeah.
cars this year.
Almost sounds like he's becoming the Rick Hendrick of,
Yeah.
of short track racing at I-35.
I tell you what, he is bringing some good cars with some good drivers. He has worked hard to get this level, and he's got some great cars.
Where is it here in St. Joe where they're building all
Yeah,
those?
here in St. Joe.
Because you were telling me he has a shop, I believe, here somewhere.
Yeah, he has a shop down here close to the stockyards and everything. But John Bowler, a lot of the cars, say for instance Bud Wilson, but we will be driving one of them. I'm sure that car has went to Bud Wilson's stable for them to work and set it up to his needs.
Yeah.
Chris Wright will be driving one of them, and here I go naming them all.
Yeah, here we go.
So, and again, like I said, Randy Smith Jr. will be in one of them, and he's a good driver. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year watching all the Bowler Motorsports cars. Again, family is racing.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And stock car, never count out Dean Ray, and that's number 77. He won the Ironman race at the USMTS last year. He, like I said, he beat the boss man. He beat Todd Staley and all the big names that come in there. So Dean Ray, 19 wins on the year last year.
Yeah, that's a crazy season. That's more than some people have for a career.
There's a lot of other big names you could talk about, like Thomas Roberts, John Bowler. But one I want to mention who was very competitive all year, and he's going to break into that winner's circle real soon, is Billy Hoover.
Yeah.
In that 21 car. He is really fast, and it looks like he's got it figured out.
He's figuring it
now.
out, yeah. I was going to say, especially it seems like in that stock car class, because it's become such a tough class, is you've got to have a little patience and speed and know when to use it and when not to use it.
And patience leaves out 99.9% of all
all-
drivers. You know.
Without a doubt, yes.
Modified, Zach Sanders, he won the points 2 years ago. Dennis Elliott winning the points last year. I look for Zach to be back with a vengeance because, how you say it, got the baby and all now.
Yeah.
Got everything kind of settled out. And I look for him to come back with a vengeance this year. He did pick up wins last year, but was not the consistency or there every race like the year before.
Right.
So I look for him to be competitive, and you just can't say enough about Dennis Elliott and Darren Shaw. Darren Shaw, two of the best in the business.
Two very tough guys and very fast.
And I'll throw out one name, picked up a win last year. Comes there not every week, but when he's there, he's fast. That's that Derek Hicks out of Ravenwood, Missouri. He is a very fast race car driver. When he shows up, he's in the thick of things.
You think Robbie Reed will be there?
Robbie Reed off and on. I think he is more into Moberly area.
Okay.
So I think he'll be there early and late.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to get him to be there all the time because he would definitely be a threat. So when he's there, he's up front.
He's up front, running with the boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
B modified. You can never say enough about Randy Ainsworth and Bud Wilson. Last year put on show after show together. Some of the best you'll ever see. Just good, clean drivers.
Yeah.
Just good racing. Tim Eaton. Can't say enough about him. Won the points at 35 last year, you know.
Yeah.
And really, I'm not just kissing up because they let us use their area here. But Tim Eaton, always a threat to win that 211 car.
Well, he had some pretty successful a year or two, I think, down at Valley too. I think before he moved up to I-35 and started running up there. So it just shows you right there that it wasn't something that just happened up
No,
there.
it's not a fluke. He's
Yeah.
fast. He won
Yeah.
many races at US 36 Raceway,
Yeah.
which we talked about earlier.
Yes.
So I look for
Done
him
that
to be
too.
right back where he left off last year. And again, they're racing this weekend down in Humboldt.
Yeah.
If there's a racetrack open, the Eaton family will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charger class, Donnie Brown finished second in the points last year, so you can't count him out. I look for him to come back with a vengeance this year. Who can say enough about Buzz Castor, the Hall of Famer? You know, that 54 car,
Yeah.
old Wamba, always a threat to win. And let's don't count out Houston Johnson. Last year had just kind of a so-so year in that 97 car. I look for him to be ready and raring to go this year. I think he'll be a challenge for the points.
I think so too. He's still got that youth and
Yeah.
exuberance,
Yeah.
and that can bring a lot to it. And,
It can.
Yeah.
And his brother will not be running. Austin will not be running the Charger class this year. He's going to focus all his efforts on the modified this year.
Yeah.
So that kind of opens it up for Houston. You know, the brothers can talk about it.
Right.
Because Austin, proven winner in that Charger class, has won championships in it.
Yeah,
before.
yeah, I think he'll step up too. It should be a real battle. Of course, last year's points deal come down to the last night.
Yeah.
Between Donnie Brown and
Yeah,
Buzz
whoever
Castor.
won the points.
Right.
Just that simple, you know. And Buzz got to, how do you say it? Times you get the breaks, sometimes you don't. You
Yeah,
know.
he got the breaks.
But if Donnie had started the year the way he ended the year,
Uh-huh.
he'd have probably been so far gone nobody
Yeah,
could catch him.
exactly.
Early in the year did not start well for him, but in the end of the year, come back strong and winning races.
Yeah.
So.
Like I say, that'll be a good one. I think it'll be a good competitive car class.
And we know of at least 8 to 10 cars that's going to be there already. Bobby Lopez, we got Chris Klein will be there this year in a Charger car. Got a lot of them coming in. John Brown again, like I was talking about earlier, will be there. So Charger class is growing. So
It'll be good.
Gonna be a
That
good
should be
class.
good.
Yeah. Oh, somebody else I was going to mention going to be in a Charger car is Eddie Ingram.
Eddie Ingram.
Eddie Ingram
Yeah,
will be in a Charger car this year.
yeah.
Sure
I
will.
think he's driven Charger or Grand Nationals before at Lakeside, if I remember right.
Yep. And the pure stock class, I look for the 2015 Rookie of the Year, Carson Masoner, in one of those Boulder Posse cars. I look
All
for
right.
him to be hard to beat, really strong. He right on the edge of pulling off those victories last year. I look for him to be one to beat this year in the pure stock class, because I think we got a couple that's like Mick Ross moving up. Also, the guy out of Iowa, the Iowa Mafia, is moving up. So I look for Carson Masoner to be the one to beat in that Charger class.
And
in that pure stock class.
You know, and that's a good thing. You hate to see them move on, but still they get to that point where they're consistent and figure things out, know the car setup and stuff. It's time for them to move on.
It is. It is. That's what to me, the pure stock class and classes of that nature is for. That's your beginning, your learning stages. Once you learn, kind of like the E-Mod, you have some A-Mod drivers dropping back running that. I'll say that I'm not completely in favor of that. I would rather see young up-and-comers just starting out. That's one thing I like about ACR with Phil. Got that kids mods class.
Yeah.
For kids to learn. That's
Exactly.
a good
It's a
class.
good deal.
But I'm more in favor of the beginning drivers in the E-Mod and the pure stock
I
class.
agree. Well, Rick, I think that just about sums everything up. I tell you, it looks like it's going to be an exciting year. Of course, I'm ready to get things started.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
like Phil said a while ago, I could sit here and talk all day about racing. So,
Hopefully, I think there's three things I do want to mention that I never did get in my notes, and that is that, of course, the Battle of the Bull Ring is going on at Humboldt. It starts tonight and runs through Saturday, and of course they're predicting rain, I think Saturday, so I presume that may take place Sunday if they get all the qualifying and then.
that's the game plan.
And then the King of America will be coming up down there pretty soon, the USMTS race. I can't say it enough. Check the websites, Humboldt.com or whatever. It'll hook you up with their website and you can get all the specific dates. One other I wanted to mention, Mars late models will be starting down at Springfield Raceway here, I think, in just 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Gonna have a big race down there. And then one other that I've just got to mention is down at 81 Speedway, Wichita, Kansas.
Yep.
They're going to be having a 10,000 to win
Yeah.
sprint car race down there, and I think that is 410. I think. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn.
I can't.
I don't remember. It's either 410 or 360, but anyway, 10 grand to win. So you know
That'll bring them out.
there'll be cars all over the place for that. And I think it's in April, but check the website.
And I know we've went over a lot of racetracks here, and we're not plugging any one racetrack in particular.
Not
What I would
really.
like to say is go out and support your local racetrack.
Yeah, whatever
one that's
it is.
close to you, one that you like. Please, fans, go out and support those racetracks because our sponsors support them because they want sports racing. But please go out and sponsor good old dirt track racing.
I agree, Rick. Well said. Well, folks, I hope we haven't kept you too long, and you've had the opportunity to get some information that maybe you didn't know. I don't think anybody's ever done anything like this before, so we thought we'd kind of jump in there and see if we could do it and kind of help support the tracks around. And Rick, I appreciate you coming down and meeting me again here, buddy.
bet.
It's been a pleasure. I enjoy
Been a
working
pleasure.
with you. I have fun, always laughing. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the Cheeseworks 2016 Racing Schedule Preview Show.
Thank you, everybody.